Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Marquette, and we're so glad you're with us to stay curious. Today, celebrating the 40th anniversary of the third test flight of the maiden Space Shuttle Columbia, launched on this date, March 22nd, 40 years ago. Hard to think about that and wrap your head around that, Marty, in 1982. And here is the press site at the launch press site with the old clock behind my head there. Thank you to MarQ for providing this sort of historical photograph of history 4 decades ago. MarQ was a young man, 25 years old, covering the Space Shuttle program with his brother and a couple friends, his brother Tom. Hello, guys. Hope that you're watching today. Marty will get his circle guided out there here in a minute and show us the launch pad in the distance, 39A, that is now being leased by SpaceX to do their crewed launches from, and we're going to have a crewed launch, I think around April 2nd. Now they have it planned. That is the countdown clock, and the circle is the distance, the gray scaffolding, or the RSS. The structure that is around the remote service structure that is around the pad out there. And
around the vehicle, not the pad.
40 years ago, around the vehicle, on the pad, the remote service structure is what it's called, right, Marty?
Yep.
And I'm having a sip of rocket fuel here to get me motivated here to share with you all some exciting history of space. Also, we have the STS-3 mission that was launched on this date, March 22nd in 1996, Atlantis and Columbia, both being launched on this date. And we're going to look at our shuttles of the month here in just a second, but we wanted to remind everybody that for more than 21 years, the American Space Museum has been preserving the birth of the American space age right here in Titusville, downtown Titusville. Our really neat museum is accessible to everybody. We hope that you book your trip down here, and we occasionally take you inside with mementos, with looking inside the galleries, particularly the Hubble Gallery we've been inside the last couple times we've been remote. And particularly with our Stay Curious program, we're so grateful that you all are enjoying it on YouTube, Twitch, Spotify, and of course Facebook Live. This has been important to us as an outreach, and we're going to celebrate 2 years tomorrow. We being space workers, about 8 astronauts, and you on board for 2 years to help us share our space program. I challenge you to find anything else that has impacted society more as a whole, not just our American society, but the whole world society, with the discoveries as well as the innovations that have come out of our American space program the last 60 years. And we celebrate the shuttle and its 30-year legacy with all of you people that have been part of it. So thank you all for being on board. And come by tomorrow and see our board of directors has got something up their sleeve to celebrate with Marty and I. And we're going to have Trekkie Techie here, Jessica Galloway, Bruce Jacobs, our IT guy that's been an important behind the scenes of this for 2 years. So we hope to take you aboard tomorrow with a little celebration. I'll have some pictures of past friends that have helped us along the way, like none more important than Ken Kramer, Marty, and Wright.
Gene.
Pardon me?
Gene Wright.
Gene Wright, having a little brain tumor there. Gene Wright and Ken Kramer, thank you for all you've done to help promote Stay Curious. They've been great partners with us over the 2 years. We'll have some pictures of them. Hope they stop by. I'm going to send out the invitation to them today to come by and say hi. Father Charlie Mars. So come by tomorrow to Stay Curious at 4 o'clock, and we'll see what they have up their sleeves. The 4 employees that are paid here at the American Space Museum, and very grateful for that. Well, let's we're backwards here. I didn't look. There we are. The Hyatt Place. Thank you, Hyatt Place, for sponsoring Stay curious. You're inside the Hyatt Place Studios, which of course are inside the museum here in downtown Titusville. Rob and Dana can take care of your needs there. The manager's assistant manager. We're so glad to do a couple events there that we're planning already. And none is more important to us right now than the golden anniversary of the dawn of the Space Shuttle era, Saturday, April 16th at the Hyatt Place, right at the 405 entrance highway into Kennedy Space Center. Free admission. Karen Conklin, our executive director, has felt it from her heart that we need to not charge admission for this. We will ask for donations, of course, but we want to give something to the 40-year Space Shuttle legacy that started 50 years ago in 1972 when the Nixon administration and Congress approved $5.5 billion to build the Space Shuttle. In 1972 in April is when that happened. And, of course, it was launched April 12th, 1981 for the first time. So thank you, Karen Conklin, our executive director, feeling that we should do this for free as an honor to the space workers that we embrace here at our museum. We've got astronaut Mike McCulley and Winston Scott both lined up to talk at our 3 o'clock. We're going to have kind of a 3 o'clock panel discussion with some of the biggies that we have in attendance there. And we're just putting that whole program together, and I'm going to unleash it on the world to y'all Friday. So, and we've got a lot of good space workers, including Gene Wright. We're going to have a good program on the Transoceanic Atlantic Abort site with Dean Schaff. We have got Terry White coming, manager of one of the orbital processing facilities, and Terry, and of course Triple T. We're going to have Triple T talk about Tales from the White Room. And the Master of Ceremonies is going to be Hugh Harris, the voice of NASA. So we've got a great program lined up for you. Thank you, Tom Usiak, this beautiful evening photo over STS-3 40 years ago. So the golden anniversary of the shuttle, we're going to celebrate Saturday, April 16th. And yes, of course, we're going to take you with us, though Marty was one of those space shuttle workers on the Space Launch System, the engines on the LPS, not Space Launch System. He was the Launch Process Systems, a computer engineer. But Marty's going to be doing double time as we're going to bring... Look at the shuttles of March, Marty. 10 of them, 3 Columbia, 3 Discovery, and 2 each of Atlantis and Endeavour. No Challenger flights of its 10 were in March. And we are up to March 22nd when we're going to launch Columbia on STS-3, and 76 is right beneath me here on the shoulders there. So let's look at a little bit about Jack Lausma and Gordon Fullerton, who unfortunately passed away in 2013 at age 76. Jack Lausma is 86. And here is Jack, the commander, with Gordon Fullerton leading them out to the pad. Okay. That is George Lowe. At Skylab 3 is what I'm trying to blurt out, is for 84 days is where Jack Lausma cut his teeth in space. And this was Gordon Fullerton's last flight. Fullerton ended up being the commander of 51F, which was the only abort to orbit when one of the engines went out and they made it to orbit. It went out kind of early in the ascent stage. But I'll bet Fullerton had a time with the Coca-Cola wars. The Coca-Cola Pepsi Cola wars were being waged on that 51F on his last flight and commander of STS-85. In 1985, it was 51F. Fullerton was a manned-orbiting laboratory astronaut and was trained by the Air Force with the MOLE program that was going to be a military two-man spacecraft attached to the Gemini spacecraft. By the way, these photographs are by Mark Usiak, who covered from launch to landing out at White Sands, which was an unexpected landing for them at White Sands. I love this picture of the rollout that Mark took with those dramatic shadow lights there, the highlights and the shadow on the vehicle assembly building. And there is the background there. Everybody having fun. 45 minutes, 47 seconds until launch. Everything starts getting what I call ripe at that sort of thing, being a media photographer myself, not covering the shuttle launches, but when you get close to game time in sports or the politician or the president's coming out on the stage, everybody gets their game faces on and ready to go. Look at that Electro Home screen 40 years ago with the dials on it there, Marty, in the center. Why don't you circle that for us? Of course, we got the NASA worm logo that was in existence until about 2010 or something. Yeah, look at the dials there. No remote control, Dad. You had to tell 5 or 6 channels, maybe 20 at the most with UHF antennas and so forth. Good photograph there by the Usiak brothers. That may have been one of their handheld cameras that they were across the lagoon, Marty, or the Indian River. That had been the Banana River way. But there's a gorgeous shot with a Hasselblad camera that the Usiak brothers used. Big film, 70 millimeter, not 35 millimeter. This is film days. Nice lighting on that. And Marty, what do we want to tell everybody? This was the first flight of a non-painted external tank. STS-3, 1 and 2 had the white external tank that Marty tells me is about 650 pounds.
600 pounds.
600 pounds, okay, that's what I put on Facebook. Glad I didn't put 650. 600 pounds it saved in weight. And Marty, that shows up a lot better against the sky anyway. I don't know why they wanted to paint it white when you were competing with the clouds and so forth. I know you weren't in on any of that part of in your career, but then it seemed odd they thought white would be best in the beginning. And when orange, boy, that sticks out like crazy against the sky. Of course, that is the fuel tank, folks. That is, to me, as silly as me wanting to go back to Tennessee from Titusville, and instead of filling my gas tank up, I just dig up the whole gas supply tank at the gas station, mount it on my roof of my car, put a garden hose from it into my gas tank opening, and there we go. I don't have to stop for 700 miles for fuel. But that was also what bit them, was the people are below the hardware of a spaceship, and things can hit them and cause trouble, which of course it did. But we're being positive with the third test flight. They had ejection seats in there that were going to supposedly work. If something happened, the guys could eject out. Glad they didn't have to do that. They flew one more STS-4 test flight, and then Columbia flew STS-5 on a real mission. Of course, they were all real missions. But and then Challenger had the 6th flight. So what a gorgeous photo. There is Mark Usiak on a cold morning. And let me consult the scroll, the shuttle scroll here of STS-3. That would have been March 30th is when it came down, 8 days later. And at White Sands, the only landing at White Sands. And you can see last week's Stay Curious program with Mark Usiak that I tagged on our Facebook page with that photo, that wonderful photo of the launch, the first one with an orange tank. You can see Mark's entire interview where he talks about this experience out there. And this unbelievable photo, unbelievable to me because there's 2 people standing, I assume they're men, underneath the wing, though they're a couple thousand feet away. I have never seen people that close to a landing. There was the arrow. Yeah, there's your circle. There's one guy there and the other person over there. My gosh, I can't believe how close they are.
Yeah, but also note, they haven't touched down with the nose wheel yet.
Right. Yeah, but still, I wonder what that felt like when that roared by you there at 200 miles an hour with all that fine gypsum sand blowing on you. And there's the chase plane that's between us and the shuttle. Probably John Young on that with his STS-2 Joe Engel, Commander John Engel. But yeah, John Young did that a lot, flew the chase plane. So there's our shuttles of, interestingly, of March. We've got a Hubble mission, an astronomy mission there. We've got a mission to the Space Station 102. We have another delivering Kibo to the space station, the Japanese unit, in 2008, in the month of March. Over the weekend, we had Bob Springer, a friend of the museum, doing one of his missions with Coates as the commander and Blaha as the pilot, a DOD mission, Department of Defense. And then STS-119 took up the last electrical grid and so forth needed for the shuttle. And so we got the other one is STS-76 after Columbia. And here is the crew of STS-76 there. I want you to note the gentleman in the upper left-hand corner, Cliff Richards. This was his third and final flight, and we lost Cliff Richards last fall. And this was his third mission, and he was diagnosed and knew when this picture was taken that he had Parkinson's disease. In fact, he knew that at his mission before this one, about 8 months before. Michael Rich Clifford, well-liked and well-known in the space community, and he passed away last year, but he became an outstanding spokesman for Parkinson's disease on that. Center in there is Ken Chilton. This was his third and final flight, his first as a commander. Pilot is Richard Surfoss on the right side there. Sir Foss, this was his second of three, and then he became a commander. And you got your mission specialist there. And you got the other mission specialist is Ronald Say sitting down, Ron Sega. And the two women in the center is Shannon Lucid and Linda Godwin. Shannon Lucid, this is her fifth and last flight, but her fifth and last flight's the one everyone remembers her for. She's going to be dropped off at the MIR Space Station by this launch today in 1996 of Atlantis, and stays 5 months with Russian men on their space station, the only woman to do that. And we got some pictures of Shannon on there. And Linda Godwin did spacewalks with Cliff Richard. And here is that space station. Ooh, horribly pixelated out there. Let's get that a little smaller so that doesn't hurt your eyes. There is the MIR Space Station as it looked in 1996. And there it is when they docked with it. This is the docking shuttle off to either side of Atlantis there. Thought I'd throw that in to show you. That was the place where they went through a tunnel to this point, then up to the MIR. And you know what? Anytime that the shuttle docked with the MIR or the International Space Station, one of the things they did was, so to speak, open the windows and air the place out, because all that nasty air cooped up in there, and it smells. Triple T has told us, of course, on his Tales from the White Room, that when they open up the hatch to the shuttle when it lands, you make sure you don't have your face with all that air coming out. You open it with the back side of the door there, because it stinks from all them human beings being in there cooped up for up to 2 weeks at a time. But that's the human condition. So there is Shannon aboard a computer on the MIR doing some data transmission there. And we got a couple other pictures of her. There she is working out on the treadmill. Of course, astronauts have to work out up to 2 hours mostly. Your muscles get lazy in space, particularly long-duration missions, so you have to keep them buffed up to handle that re-entry, all right, when those G-forces come back to you, and then adapting to the gravity of Earth. And there she is floating free, cross-legged, showing that, yep, I'm in outer space here. This was her fifth mission, like I said. She's become a great ambassador for NASA over the years, did a lot of Capcom work after these missions of hers, her fifth space flight. And she replaced Norm Thagard. And Marty, I looked all over the internet for pictures of Norm Thagard and her together in the MIR and then together in the shuttle, and I could not find one picture of them together. So I'm wondering, not everybody gets along in outer space, so and you work it out. But there's Norm Thagard with a Russian on board the MIR Space Station. We'll talk about Norm when they come back March 30th, because we've got the lawn chair that Norm Thagard rode in the shuttle when they brought back a record 8 people on this STS-76 mission All right, and let me see when they come back, Marty, as I consult the scroll, the shuttle scroll there, STS-76 on the other side. 76 came back March 31st. So we'll celebrate Atlantis coming back with, they brought back Norm Thagard here. And there is the whole crew. Boy, I can't trust the resolution of these pictures. I get caught up there a little bit. Sorry for that, folks. But there's the some of the crew of 76 enjoying a little tin of some sort of food that they're eating out of there. If it's not in a bag, it's in a tin. And like those pop-off tins. People can eat things like Vienna sausages, Marty. I haven't had a Vienna sausage in a while. Like about a decade. Any rate. So STS-76, STS-3, contrasting from 1982, practicing what we're going to do in space to 1996, living on the MIR Space Station on there. So, Marty, we have any comments from our friends? You got a Dave Stange. All right, Dave is back from his big trip, Hawaii. Thank you, Dave, for following us all the way to Hawaii. We've got Professor Keith Sewell. Hello to you. Kathy Howe. Hi, Kathy. Melissa Pope at the Space Coast Office of Tourism there in Cocoa Beach. We've got Darren Leon.
David.
David Leon. Hey, David. Ophelia Sauterel's watching in Normandy, France. I'll bet Pam Shivik's on there. She had a birthday the other day. Happy birthday to you, Pam. And Carlton Bailey, hope you're watching. And we're so glad that everybody's found our show. Christopher Mick in Wisconsin. Hope you've enjoyed a little bit of flashback of our space shuttles. We are really upping our game with our shuttle history on Stay Curious. I have in the works to do something every month about payloads, so stay tuned. So we got a lot going on, and I've been very, very busy trying to keep track of all this stuff that we're involved in. So, but I'm a happy man doing it, and I got my shuttle scroll here to help me, guide me with knowledge, and we've got you out there and Marty to correct me when I'm wrong. So please chime in there. Well, Marty, thank you for everything you've done today, and thank you for 2 years of great work. We hope to see everyone tomorrow for our second anniversary, okay? Don't know what the board's cooked up, but like I said, hopefully hopefully you're on board with the celebration. 2 years, over 500 episodes of Stay Curious, and this was born out of the COVID pandemic. So this is our silver lining, and we're happy to keep it going for you all. So I'm Mark Marquette, and we will see you tomorrow with our second anniversary of Stay Curious to bridge the space between us.